Hello everyone, it's Foo here. Today I wanted to bring you a bit of a follow-up to my previous video because in that video I featured Pickup as an ability, which I thought was really interesting, but I got a lot of comments from people saying that they didn't really know much about the pickup ability, and specifically some people saying they didn't even realise it had any in-battle effect at all. So I thought that this would be a really fun thing to pick up on in this video because there's actually a crazy ultimate strategy that's super evil and allows you to have infinite flinches because of the pickup ability. So I think it's a really cool and underexplored ability. I wanted to talk about it today to maybe inspire you into looking into other mechanics that you may not know so much about. Before we get into all the good stuff, if you enjoy my content, please leave a like on the video. It really helps out the channel and lets me know what you want to see more of, and consider subscribing for more content. So Pickup is an ability that allows a Pokemon not holding an item to pick up stuff off the floor while you're walking around the Pokemon world. And that can be kind of cool in your playthrough when you're getting some free items and stuff, but competitively it's kind of irrelevant. However, there is an in-battle effect. The ability description in-game reads that Pokemon may pick up the item an opposing Pokemon used during a battle. This is actually slightly deceptive because though that is true in singles battles, in doubles battles you can actually pick up your ally Pokemon's item as well, which is far more useful because you have a lot more control over what items your ally Pokemon uses rather than your opponent's Pokemon. So I think that the in-game ability description definitely undersells the ability. So this can be neat for like picking up citrus berries or other berries that are frequently held in battle. But last week I featured a kind of cool mechanic. My throw used Fling to throw a Lychee berry at my Gourgeist, which activated its weakness policy, as well as giving it +1 attack from the Lychee berry effect. And then at the end of the turn, Gourgeist picked up the Lychee berry, which it had kind of eaten earlier in the turn, and that's because of the interesting interaction between Fling and Pickup. So when a Pokemon uses Fling, the Pokemon that use Fling counts as using the item, despite the item having an effect on a different Pokemon. So Gourgeist was then able to pick up the item at the end of the turn because the pickup ability thought that Throw had used the Lychee berry, despite Gourgeist having already eaten it. So I thought that was a really cool kind of mechanic to demonstrate in that strategy, but there's definitely more that you can do with Fling and Pickup as a combination, especially when you pair two Pokemon with Fling and Pickup together. So that's what I'm showing here, is that I've got a Dedenne and a Linoone that both have Pickup and both have Fling, and what we can do is fling a Light Ball and a King's Rock, and they each have their effect on the opponent, and then they both can be picked up at the end of the turn. But what's important to note is that the Pokemon basically switch items. So Dedenne starts with the Light Orb, flings it, and then picks up the King's Rock, and Linoone starts with the King's Rock, flings it, and picks up the Light Orb. So that's pretty cool that you can have this infinite loop of fling and pickup and just keep recycling items. It's important to note that both Pokemon have to use Fling for this to work, because if only one Pokemon uses Fling, it gets rid of its own item, the other Pokemon still has an item so can't pick up, and the Pokemon that used Fling can't pick up its own item. So if only one Pokemon uses Fling, you will lose that item. So you need to use Fling with both of your Pokemon, and then they can swap items and you get both of them back. This is particularly cool with a King's Rock because it means that you can have infinite guaranteed flinches each turn, which is so cool. But this is not the ultimate strategy. This is only what is available in Sword and Shield. I'll talk about the ultimate strategy in a second. I first want to note that you have to be really careful about whether the opponent has held items, because if they have a held item like a citrus berry, that will activate after you've flung your item and it's had an effect. So basically, at the end of the turn, you'll pick up the citrus berry instead of the item that you want to pick up. And that's actually featured in this battle here because my opponent has a weakness policy and I end up picking up the weakness policy. It's not always the end of the world though, because you can play around with Fling and Pickup to try and position the opponent's item onto a Pokemon that you actually want it to be on. In this case, I picked up a weakness policy, was able to then Fling again so that the weakness policy went onto my other Pokemon, which was Linoone, and I could then activate the weakness policy on Linoon to do more damage, which I thought was really cool. So Pickup is very situational, but it can be very, very fun to use. Now, the ultimate strategy that involves Fling and Pickup revolves around the existence of King's Rock, but also the existence of the Razor Fang, which is an item that also causes opponents to flinch when it is flung at them. The issue is that the Razor Fang existed in previous generations but has been culled from the game in Pokemon Sword and Shield, along with many other things that people are very upset about. So it's just another thing that is really annoying that it's gone, but I think it's so cool that I wanted to discuss it in this video anyway. So with both King's Rock and Razor Fang, obviously you've then got two items that can flinch the opponent. So back in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Pickup worked exactly the same way. You could fling Razor Fang and King's Rock, and at the end of the turn, pick them both up again, and then you've got two guaranteed flinches every turn, which could effectively mean that your opponent never gets to move. That is crazy. That is so stupid and kind of broken, but at the same time, there are loads of ways to stop it. Obviously, opponents could outspeed you and still get attacks off anyway. If they've got any priority, that will scupper it as well. And also, if the opponent goes for one protect and blocks the fling, then you will lose an item, because at the end of the turn, nothing can pick up the item. The Pokemon that used Fling can't pick up its own item. The Pokemon that wasn't able to use Fling because of Protect still has its item, so can't pick up anything, and then you'll lose the item. It's also worth noting that Fling doesn't do very much damage, so you probably want to have some other way of getting damage on the opponents, whether that's over time damage from things like poison or burn or other things. And also you want a bit of speed control there, but you could try to make an effective strategy that basically pivots around infinite fling flinches, which is pretty cool. As I did say, the Razor Fang has been removed from Pokemon Sword and Shield, but we do still have one outstanding DLC, the Crown Tundra DLC, which could reintroduce the Razor Fang, especially considering that it's an evolution item from Gligar into Gliscor, so if those Pokemon return, we may see the item return. I think there are a number of things that do go against this though. For example, we haven't seen Gligar or Gliscor in any of the promotional stuff for the Crown Tundra DLC yet, so that's one thing that's saying it's unlikely. And also, it's worth noting that King's Rock was available in Pokemon Sword and Shield base game, despite no Pokemon using it to evolve in those games. So Politoed was only reintroduced in the Isle of Armor DLC, and Slowking is still yet to be reintroduced. But the King's Rock was already in the base game in Sword and Shield. So if Gligar and Gliscor were to come back, there's nothing to say that Razor Fang shouldn't already be in the game. So I think it's kind of unlikely that Razor Fang is coming back. It's also worth noting, with Dynamax around, you can't flinch both opponents all the time anyway, so it's a lot weaker in Pokemon Sword and Shield than it would be in Ultra Sun and Moon. But I thought it was a really, really cool mechanic to show off if opponents don't know what's happening, especially on things like Trick Room teams where they're all really slow Pokemon and they may not have a way around the flinches. This could be a pretty interesting tech to use. But it's just a shame that it's gone. But I wanted to showcase this because I think it's wicked, and apparently a lot of people didn't know about the pickup effect. So I just wanted to inspire you guys to look into mechanics that you may not be very aware of to try and get some cool strategies that way. That's going to be all from me for today. I've got some really cool content on the way, so please consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and ring the bell for notifications and when I upload, because at the moment I'm super busy at work, so I'm not uploading very regularly. If you don't want to miss a video, make sure that you click the bell button. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.